There was a man named Victor, not famous when he was alive, not celebrated in his hometown. For 3 years in his late 20s, he lived what most people would call a completely isolated existence. He had lost his closest friendships to circumstance, his romantic relationship had ended, and his career felt frozen in place. He described that period in his journal as living inside a glass box. He could see life happening around him, but he could not reach it. What Victor did not know then was that something extraordinary was quietly happening inside him. Research in neuroscience has shown that during extended periods of solitude, the brain does something unexpected. It does not shut down, it actually shifts into a deeper mode of self-processing. The areas associated with self-reflection, creativity, and long-term thinking become significantly more active. The brain, with fewer social demands pulling at it, begins to reorganize priorities, consolidate identity, and form clearer internal values. Loneliness, when it is not permanent but seasonal, can rewire a person from the inside out. Victor eventually emerged from that period not broken, but unusually clear. He knew what he wanted. He knew who he was. He had spent so long in silence that the noise of other people's opinions had lost its grip on him. Within 2 years, he had built the most meaningful work of his life, formed deeper relationships than he had ever known, and he credited all of it to the years he had been forced to sit with himself. Many of history's most transformative figures passed through seasons of deep isolation before everything shifted. There is a pattern, quiet but consistent, that shows up across cultures and centuries. Mystics entered the desert, philosophers retreated to the mountains, scientists withdrew from society entirely before producing their most defining discoveries. These were not breakdowns, they were becoming. Ancient traditions understood this in ways that modern culture has almost forgotten. Many indigenous wisdom practices included intentional periods of solitude, not as punishment, but as rites of passage. The idea was simple. Before you could offer anything real to others, you had to know what was real within yourself. You had to sit long enough to hear your own voice beneath all the borrowed voices you had been carrying. Loneliness strips away the performances. It takes away the version of you that exists only in relation to others and leaves behind something quieter, something more true. There is a difference between loneliness and aloneness that most people never fully feel until they are inside it. Loneliness says something is missing. Aloneness says something is being built. The seasons that look the most like abandonment are often the ones doing the deepest construction work. Victor eventually described that glass box period not as the worst years of his life, but as the years his life was actually being written. He said the loneliness had not taken anything from him, it had returned him to himself. If you are in a quiet season right now, where the world seems to be moving without you, where you feel unseen and uncertain, consider the possibility that you are not being left behind. Consider that something in you is being made ready. The most important chapters of a story are rarely the loudest ones. Sometimes they are the ones that begin in silence, in a room alone, with nothing but time and the slow, patient work of becoming who you were always meant to be. The quiet is not empty, it is full of everything that is still being formed.